Good morning, guys.
Grand Rising, everyone.
Yeah, I know everyone's probably had a rough morning after celebrating Christmas. For those that did celebrate Christmas, so thanks for joining us. Thanks for supporting us throughout the year as well. It's nice to see you. And yeah, how do you like to open up? I suppose.
Say hi. Greetings, everyone. My name's Debbie, and this is Dwayne. Did you say your name before? You
Yeah.
didn't, did you? Or did you? Maybe you did. I don't know. And we are founders of Black British Parent. We mostly share stuff on Instagram, etc. But we thought that because this year has been such a challenging one, um, excuse me, because this year has been such a challenging one, and for obvious reasons, having to deal with the COVID, etc. And I don't think anyone can hear us is saying.
Can those that are watching? She might not be able to hear us because she's
Because
in
where
that
she
as
was.
well.
Okay, those that are watching, can you guys? Okay, everyone else can hear us. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So as we were saying, this year has been a really challenging year for many of us. A lot of us have been, how can I say, living in a lot of stress and fear. Yeah, as to put it as bluntly as it is, I know for myself that when we first, encountered this idea of COVID and what it was, we didn't know what we was doing, where it was coming or going.
Some of us didn't take it serious at all. And to be quite honest, because of the conflicting information that's been going on, it is fair for everyone to have felt that way. So, but I think what we kind of established going through this process is that it's given us a lot of time to focus on the essential elements of what we should be focusing on and grounding ourselves and thinking about what we're going to be moving forward and what our next steps are going to be. And this series of talks that we're going to be having every day for the next 7 days at 11 o'clock, other than the 1st of January, it's going to be 2 o'clock, is just a few essential things for us to kind of think about or focus on as we go into 2021, which hopefully won't be as a challenging year for.
And if it is as well,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily okay, but there's not much we can do about it other than focus on the things that we can focus on, the things that we can change, and the things that we can adjust. So I don't know, I'm just a little bit funny and skeptical saying that, 2021 is going to be great, and I don't want to, say it's not going to be great either. It's just a bit
But
of a catch.
at the same time, when with challenge comes growth, because you're forced into a position where you have to think of solutions to your problems. And if you're comfortable, then you're less likely to analyze and come up with and analyze your situation and how you feel you can make it better. So, on that note, we are going to have our first guest speaker for this series of talks, who is Selena from Black Poppy Rose. So, hi Selena.
Hey, Selena.
How are you doing? How are you doing, Selena? Can you
Good
hear me?
morning.
Grand Rising
Wonderful.
Empress. How you doing?
I cannot hear you guys. You guys,
Really?
I can see. I
That's the
cannot
thing.
hear you.
Everyone else can.
Should I come off and come back again?
Have you got a speaker
No.
that you can turn up? Let's try and.
Hello?
Yeah, we can
We
hear
can
you.
hear you. Yay!
The wonderful thing of internet and this new kind of era that we're in with.
And you know what? Because I got a new laptop, so I'm trying to figure out what, where, how, what, who.
I
Fair
hear
enough.
that.
Good morning.
Grand
Habari
rising,
Gani.
Chris. Sorry, say that again.
Habari Gani.
Habari Ghani. Okay, can
So
you?
Habari Gani is what's the news that you said that every day on Kwanzaa and you say it's Umoja Day.
Okay.
Thank you, Emoja. Yes. Do you know what? I have to be honest here. We don't really celebrate Kwanzaa like that. We don't really celebrate Christmas or anything. But it's we like the principles, we like the concept, and for again, what I didn't get to finish before saying was that because of what we've been dealing with this year, we thought it would be exceptionally important to at least try and reflect on those principles, whether people are familiar with Kwanzaa or not, because they're very important principles within our community as a whole. So, yeah. So today we will be talking about Umoja, which is unity, and yeah. So basically, please introduce yourself a little bit and explain to people a little bit of your background.
Okay, my name is Selena Cup. I am a cultural and ancestral consultant. I'm founder of Black Bros. So I'm going to test my mic and hear myself.
You're cutting out a little bit as well, actually.
Might be a microphone issue.
Okay.
Better?
Let's roll with it. Let's see what happens.
I founded Black Bros 10 years ago as a project. So I thought that when I know I can hear myself and I'm like, how is this for? Maybe. But we'll go for Debbie?
Yeah, we can
We
hear
can
you.
hear you.
Saying that I'm winner because I can on my side.
All right, then. What we'll do is we'll try and resolve your technical difficulties, and we'll bring Cheryl in whilst we're working on that. Okay.
Okay, I think hers is freezing.
Yes!
Welcome, my people.
Welcome, Cheryl. Grand
How
rising,
you
Empress.
doing?
We're doing great. How are you doing?
I am fine. I had to make my tea.
No, that's understandable.
We appreciate you coming like and joining us so early after yesterday's celebration. So we
Yes, I was chilling yesterday watching videos with the kids. They were dancing around the front, making up a holy noise. I say kids like they're small people. I'm talking about grown adults. And at my mum's, my mum loves to do the whole Christmas thing, and I'm just like, oh, okay, let's just do it. It's nice to spend time with the family because of, like you said before, the year has been a bit interesting. So spending time with the family is important. So that's what we did yesterday.
That's beautiful.
That's definitely something we do as well. Especially on Christmas Day, we just take the time out just to spend time with the children, extended family.
And relax.
Yeah.
This is it.
Especially with you normally, like most years, obviously Dwayne will be going to work. So it'll be the one day that we know for a few days he's not going anywhere and we can just spend time together. But kind of spent a lot of time this year, so. Okay.
Right.
Is Selena sorted out?
Let's see if Selena, how you doing?
I'm well. Glad to see shells and in yellow.
You guys are in tune on some different levels, but
because we always are, Cheryl, aren't we? We're always there, isn't it?
I know, something's in the air.
Okay, we was having Cheryl introduce herself, but it's kind of a little bit so. No, sorry, Selena. Cheryl, do you mind introducing yourself? I know everyone knows who you are already, but just for the sake of anyone who may not be aware.
Well, my name's Cheryl Phoenix, and I am the founder of the Black Child Agenda and UK Africa Consortium. That's our new project, our newest addition to the family. So the Black Child Agenda is an independent legal advocacy. So myself and I have, it wouldn't be necessarily a team, but a team, for want of a better word, of solicitors and other independent advocates who support and represent the African Caribbean child and family in unlawful exclusions, crime, housing, employment, etc., mental health is probably this year one of our biggest areas that we've been covering with regards to our young people who have returned back to school. So if a child's been unlawfully excluded or faces discrimination or anything like that, we will come in and represent and defend them and give the schools a rough time if they're not doing what they're supposed to do by way of our children.
Quick question on that, has everything that's happened, you know, children going back to school in September, has it been pretty much the same sort of issues you've been dealing with, or has it got worse, or has it kind of died down a bit?
Oh, no, it's actually, as I predicted, it's gotten worse, and mental health amongst our young people is definitely on the rise. I'm seeing children who are suicidal, hearing voices, and having complete meltdowns whilst in the school environment. But the problem that I'm finding is that with our children, rather than the support and help needed, they're actually given permanent exclusions, and that's basically thrown in the trash. Parents as well are struggling mentally because they have been, like, for me, the lockdown's been great because I've had time to myself, to chill, etc. But for some, it has been a very, very testing time because they're at home with the children. Children are driving them crazy. As we know, children are very active at the best of times. Not sure what's going on. So my phones and inboxes have been a lot. So yeah, and some of the things that I'm seeing and hearing is it's out of this world, and I can only see it getting worse. And with the new legislation that's coming in as of next week, yeah, we need to really, really equip ourselves with the knowledge of what's coming.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Cheryl, is Cheryl able to speak? Sorry, Selena. I'm getting you guys mixed up. It's really bad.
That's because we're both wearing yellow.
Sorry? It's because you're both wearing yellow, yeah.
And I've got my hat on and glasses.
Do you know what it is, yeah? You are the two women in our communities that are the, like, not the most, but like are active, yeah, and carry a similar energy where it's just power all the time.
Yeah.
So like you look just have a similar energy about you. So
that's why it's not working, because you've got two powerhouses on one. It's like
too much for the internet to handle.
The internet can't take it, man. Okay,
I'm gonna try on my phone.
You got people online saying hello to both Selena and Cheryl, which is amazing. So it's great to see some people familiar to yourselves already.
Hello, people. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourselves. Just take time out for the festive season, as they call it. Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, just chill. Netflix and chill. I've been getting acquainted with Netflix, I can't lie. It's been great.
Fair enough. Okay, so today we're talking about unity, isn't it, in our community stuff. So we wanted to kind of really get a sense of I mean, because Cheryl, the work that you're doing requires a sense of unity. You have to like have a sense of working with and for and around other people in order to be able to do what you're doing. And I imagine with the lack of unity means that there's not much. You can't continue doing what you're doing in terms of helping children and families. You need to be able to have the communication, you need to be able to have the backup and the support, etc. So on the other hand, while we see that those kinds of things happen, you know, wonderfully, there are many aspects in our community where unity seems to be broken. So like what are your kind of I just wanted to ask you what your kind of sense of what kind of issues do we have with unity in our community, especially particularly here in the UK?
I think it's a multifaceted type of issue, but for me personally, I can't be bothered to get bogged down with people and their negativity or their constant, oh, we need to unite. It's like, just get on with who you get along with and get the job done. I'm more of that pragmatist approach, because we can sit down and moan and complain all day about different people and what they do or don't do, and then we won't get anything done. We'll just be there upset. And I think this current government and system that we have is enough to upset us without us upsetting each other beyond anything else. So for me, I genuinely believe that, like, not everyone's going to get along with anyone. That's just a fact. No one ever did. Because I know we like to talk about what we used to do in the past, And it is a good platform to start from because it was good. But not everyone got along. And you're going way back 20,000 years ago, even to the present day. Not everyone got along. However, they had a common goal, which was self-preservation and to do well for them and their families and to do trade and business, which was really important. So we need to actually look at those principles. And I always say, rather than me running around trying to find someone to unify with, let me do what I'm doing, and those who see what I'm doing and feel that they can add value to what I'm doing will come and gravitate towards the Black Child Agenda or Shell Phoenix as an individual, and then we can now work together. Do I think that we should all get along? And that's even people at work do the work similarly to me? Not necessarily, but is their common end goal something that I'm trying to achieve, and can I work with them in a professional capacity? Because one of the things I find that we do in our community is that we think that because we speak to someone, that automatically makes them a friend. Not everyone is your friend, not everyone is your brethren. I'm sure your parents told you this when you were young. Not everybody is your friend. However, when it comes to business and the common goal, get the job done and stop moaning. And that's kind of how I see it and how I tend to work.
Amazing.
After I drink my ginger.
Selena, could you give us a few words in terms of your kind of your journey and unity within the community, or lack of it, or what's your experiences?
So I share Cheryl's sentiments exactly, but with my journey, it's been one of, I've gone out into the community, I've traveled up and down this country, I've traveled the world, and look at what our community looks like and what we understand, what we think we need, and what I do, people don't understand. And when you talk about, we scream that we need schools and education and our own this and our own that. None of that's difficult to create, but what's difficult is the sustainability of it going long term. When I started Black Poppy Rose, I decided that this was something I was going to do for the rest of my life. I'm not sure anybody else looks at the work that they're doing in that way. And when you're doing something for the rest of your life and you are classifying yourself as an African, a global African, not just somebody who was born on the continent or not, but you are part of that descendancy. Sorry?
No, go ahead.
Oh, but you are part of that descendancy. That takes a different level of thinking. I don't speak what they speak in Somalia. I don't speak what they speak in Egypt. I don't speak what they speak in South Africa or Ghana or the Democratic Republic of the Congo or Papua New Guinea or the twang in the French colonial islands or, other languages outside of English. However, I'm a part of all of those histories, whether or not I was in it or I know it of myself. And that's how I understand unity. Because when we do Black in England, it's generally around, those of us who speak English. And I've got nothing to say about what anybody else is doing, because like Cheryl says, I work with those who are working, who are actively working, who see the benefits in working alongside, not working for, but alongside other people who are doing what they're doing. We're not trying to incorporate them into being workers into their establishments or their organizations, but looking at how both projects or both existence can share a parallel platform. And now we're 10 years in of Black Poppy Rose. We're looking at different challenges that we're being faced with, and they're coming from the people that we know they'll be coming from. Every time I talk, I always add history, because we're under this illusion that we're not colonialized. We're under some illusion that we know or we're connected to any of that Kemetian history. In any of our teachings passing down. We were all born in colonial times to colonial parents, to colonial grandparents, great-great-grandparents, great-great-great-grandparents, great-great-great-great-great-great. And if your teaching is coming only back from 5 generations, all we know is colonialization. We go to white schools, we go to white colleges, we go to white universities, whether or not they're Black or not, the infrastructure is still white. We go to white doctors. Doesn't matter how much Dr. Sabis we have, doesn't matter how much Dr. Lailas we have. They had to learn from them first to work out how to do what we need for ourselves. So when we look at it from that angle, we have to work out how we're going to function and protect our children in the cage that we're in, because we're all caged. We think we're free and we're running to Africa and we're running here, we're running there. We're not, where we're running going? We're running from ourselves. And unity with Kwanzaa, the principles very much start with yourself. Well, the Kwanzaa starts with me, and then I bring it out. So unity, I have to work on the unity in myself. What am I prepared to do? What am I prepared to work on? Because it's not about what I'm not prepared to do. It's about what I am prepared to do and how much I need to go out and go and work with Cheryl, work with Debbie and Dwayne, work with, Black History Study, work with Robin Walker and all the rest of it, for us to be able to collectively meet our goal, because what we're doing is got a similar effect of protecting ourselves and our children. And it's at any cost necessary, because our children shouldn't be dealing with no mental health because we haven't properly educated them. And the reason why they're not well is because we are gifting them to the people that we have the most problems with, because we haven't worked out how to do what we need to within the cage that we're living in, because we think we're free. We think that because they're not spitting at us on the street, we think because they're allowing us to have jobs and they're promoting us, and now we've got this Black Lives Matter agenda and they're giving us all this attention, we're not looking at the laws that they're putting in place as a result of us having all of this attention to continue to put us back in the cage and back into line as we've always been.
Cheryl, I heard you chuckle at a few bits. I know it wasn't a condescending one. I'm sure it was one of like, yeah, you can relate or see with those comments. What's your experience or your perspective on some of the things that have just been raised?
No, do you know the funny thing is, it's like right now, as Selena said, we're in the front line. I haven't seen more Black people in British advertising. That like this is the first year I've seen so many Black people, even online, not just on like the mainstream social media. I don't have normal TV, but everywhere you look, you're seeing and it's not just a fair-skinned Black person. You're seeing dark-skinned chocolate children with their natural hair and all of these things going on, and I'm like, well, damn. It's like, hello. It's like they've just discovered like we just landed here in May this year, and it's like we just came out with some spaceship and then boom, we're here, and it's like, oh, look at these new things, let's play with these new toys and put them all across everything. However, like Selena said, what's going on in the background with regard, and one of the biggest things I've been screaming about for years is our human rights legislation and the human rights laws. First and foremost, the human rights legislation and laws that are currently there have never really benefited us anything. They say that it's there, they say that discrimination laws are there, acts and legislation are there, but it doesn't benefit us, it hasn't benefited us. So the new ones that are coming in, that actually strip away what we couldn't actually access in the first place, is very, very frightening. And that's the most simplest way I can put it. It's very, very scary. And I don't know how many people have seen it on my social media pages, and it's also on my YouTube. Part one of an hour and 20-minute Barristers' Chambers discussion around the new laws, legislation, sections in the legislation, as well as crime, mental health, and children in education. And if we're serious about all that we talk about being pro-Black and pro-this, as Selena said, we're all in colonialist schools and mindsets, and we're raised to a particular way. If we're not serious about taking charge of what's going on, not only in our homes, but as society who live here, who have contributed here, who built this place, then we're still going to be having these types of conversations about how the injustice system is serving us, how we've got the schools to prison pipeline, how Black men, they keep saying 9 times, but it's now 11 times more likely to be sectioned, how, we can just keep going on about the negatives. So unless we're serious, like when I mean serious, I mean kick down, butts down, Babylon serious. And I don't mean that in the physical sense. I don't mean that in the literal sense. I mean that using our brains and putting pen to paper and understanding law and legislation. That's how I do the Black Child Agenda. I studied law as part of a degree. And then I was like, there's too much reading here. And I've come full circle back to understanding the laws that govern us to actually do the job that I do. And unless we're really, now is not the time to be like, oh yeah, let's rely on. Now is the time, and oh, let's look at government. Oh, let's look at. Now is the time, let's look at what's going on in our own houses. Let's go and buy the book around education legislation. Let's go and download most of the policies on the direct.gov website, because they're there freely available. So let's start actually reading what's going to affect us. If your child has special educational needs, you need to know what's coming. You need to know what's coming, because it's not nice. If you or anyone in your family has mental health, you need to really understand what's coming, because before, when you needed 2 doctors to sign you off to be sectioned, now it only takes 1. And if you happen to sit in front of someone that looks like or behaves like, what's the guy, the Nazi guy that killed all the Jews and the blacks? I can't remember his name. Hitler. Yeah, if you happen to sit down in front of someone like that, and then they decide for any reason that you need to be sectioned, then they can sign you off indefinitely. So we need to really understand what time it is. The prison system, the IPP laws, all of these things need to really be carefully looked at within our community and challenged as a community, because it is our rights and our human rights that we're talking about. And that's going to be missing. And that's been my only thing coming out of my mouth over the lot. I've done Zooms for the last 3 weeks, and the only thing I'm banging on about is your human rights, your rights as a human being to live, breathe, and actually live every single day. That is being stripped, and it's like, why, sir? I don't know. So that's why I was kind of chuckling, because I'm just in my head like,
And you know what? And you know what, Cheryl? Because along with that, and this is what history has gifted me, is that all of this is a cycle. So when I look, so when people, so I don't do videos for the reason why you do videos, because nobody will understand, and it's not to take away from people's levels of understanding, but you see, when you don't read the books and you don't do the things and you don't do the work, you have to work out how to spoon feed the community for them to understand the grains that, you know, white supremacy is giving them, because those are the grains that we're sorting after. We're begging for their crumbs, and we think we're asking for cake, but we're begging for crumbs, because if we're not prepared to look at the ingredients for the cake. Are we building an oven for that cake? Are we building the gas connectors for that cake? And when I teach young children, young people even, I talk to them about the step-by-step tenets of being responsible. So if you want something, you have to be prepared to be in control of all of those areas. And this is what the world shows us. And when we're teaching our children, we're teaching, like we were taught, to be subservient. How do we perform a menial task, get menial rewards, and then have our rights stripped away? Because to us, as long as we can have a job and have a house and be able to buy this and buy that,
and then we're quite satisfied. But I send my child back to school every day to be abused, but it's fine. It's the teacher's fault.
Again, it's looking at the mindsets of our community and how we best can support them. And I look at how I can do that with the work that I do, because everything, as you can see, is about lineage. It's about knowing where you're coming from. It's about knowing how you contribute to that historical timeline. It's knowing about looking at your own perspectives of what the world looks like too, because I can't give that to you from me. You've got to work it out from you. All I can do is assist in equipping you with more knowledge, more access to information for you to be able to make those pieces, because I don't know what pieces are missing for you. I know that there are lots of pieces missing, and what I do has shown that that's a big piece missing, but it's not the only piece missing.
No, I agree. And even just this, sorry, Debbie and you guys, Danny, you just sit there for a while.
Yeah. This is the Cheryl and Selena show. we're just here for the ride.
But you know what? Even in saying what you said there, the interesting thing is about the ingredients. You post regularly. I post daily, constantly, literally, and it's interesting to see the feedback when you post. Like the post can only be so long. I'm not going to post like 7,000 paragraphs to give you everything, and I know that you're not going to read it anyway. So I post in blocks, snippets, and that should be enough to say, what does that mean? Let me go and look about that. What's she talking about? Let me go and look about that. But instead, what you get is, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. They can't do this and they can't do that. And then what happens is one of the mainstream press will pick up some of those posts and then boom, it will be in their paper the next day or the day after. And then all of a sudden I'll have droves of the same headline that I just posted on my social media. And it will be like, have you seen this? What are we going to do? And it's like, well, nothing. How about you go and read what I said? Because I said what I said. And you didn't want to take the advice because you said that I didn't know what I was talking about. You know, the same things with certain types of lessons in schools, you know, the same-sex relationships and the LGBTQI plus and the children being allowed to touch themselves and the 13-year-olds given consent to vaccines. You know, all of these things has been, I've been pushing and pushing and pushing, just dropping the nuggets. And these are key nuggets. And people think it's sensationalism. Oh, you're just looking for attention. It's like, no, I'm a Virgo. I don't need that much. You know, so it's like, we're getting there though. Because I have some parents, I must say, they are like, they ain't playing. They're like, well, once I send them or my assistant sends them an email, what you need is this. They will just be like, right, rah. They go out and they come back and it goes, well, in this legislation, it says this. And how do I go about this? I just need your guidance here and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, cool. Parents and people like that I love because they will go and they'll come back forewarned, forearmed, and they come in to do business. Do you understand? And that's where we need to be. We need to be that Nzinga warrior. We need to be that Marcus Garvey. We need to be the Malcolm X. We need to be all of these people rolled up in one for 2021 because 2021 going to be a journey. We think 2020 was an interesting one. Next year going to be a fun ride.
Listen, 2020 was for us to get rest, Cheryl.
Yeah.
That was for us to get rest and to regroup and actually strategize. And because what we're dealing with now is on the hand change, so we have to be ready for when things change immediately, just like them, you know, cancelling flights. The world's now locked us in.
That is the funniest thing.
And we're like,
when I saw that on the news, I was like, France no work on the teams. And then 25 countries in the space of an hour, bam, 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 no flights, no flights. I was like, what is England going to do now? But the thing is, the problem is that we have the Caribbean and Jamaica banned flights.
Yep.
But we've got quite a few of the other islands that are still allowed. It's like, no, ban them too. Follow suit. Be strong in your conviction. Well, then again, no, because I want to travel. Hold on a minute. Wait, I want to get out of here, so I want to travel. So they should
remember, each island has a different set of shareholders.
True.
So, and when we start talking about these things, and when we look at the world, we're not in a position of power.
No.
So when we're making our mouths about our opinions, or they shouldn't do this, or they shouldn't do that, we are governed by them. We are governed by them.
You see it on Whitehall. Whitehall is the office. I remember visiting there. In Whitehall, right next door to the Horse Guards Parade, is the offices where the laws are made in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
But then we keep talking about independence.
Well, you remember, because nobody knows that there was a Commonwealth Independence Act put in place at independence. Again, it's okay. We will get there. But what I am hoping that we're doing, we start paying more attention and listening. But what I've noticed is that there is a widespread of panic, which is essential for what's coming forward. And what's happening is, as opposed to, as always, we police ourselves with no laws. We police ourselves with no understanding of what we are doing. And we say, because the government have said this, we interpret it just like religion. We interpret it in our own way. And then we punish everybody else for not understanding it how we understand it. And then we continue with this, you're going to hell if you don't do this, blah, 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 blah. But it's the same model that Europeans gave. You couldn't even go to their churches. So you had to make up your own thing using their text that you couldn't even read. And then by the time you was able to read it, you had to go to them for training. And you have to keep going to them for training, for them to teach you how to praise the Lord that you're praising. But we're not going to get into that because that's not what it is. We're talking about the cross-section between religion and politics and how we follow models that we will never set for ourselves, and we will never be able to set for ourselves because we've been so disjointed that it will always be their models that we use as a reference and a guideline because we don't know any other. And when we look at the continental, spirituality, that's also been impacted by colonialism, Because when you're sending your children to European schools, how much of their culture are they really going to digest when they're having to digest and relearn somebody else's? And then when you talk about elders not being able to read and the disrespect and the separation, this is what we're looking at now. So our elders are saying stay away because the government said stay away because they followed the teachings because that's what they knew. Then the next generation's like, well, we don't know. We're not committed to making a choice. But the elders are committed because they know where they stand. And then the generations after, we're all here in limbo because we learned from the elders. We don't agree with them, but we haven't gone on to do the work necessary to make our own standpoints. And when you're not learning continuously, because when you go to school, university, college, learning does not stop, ever. Every minute when we wake up, there's a new law in place. When we wake up, when we're having that weekender, they're making new laws in place. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't go out, but we need to keep abreast. And we need to support the people who are doing the work. So Cheryl can do the laws. I'm not going to be looking at no laws until Cheryl sends them to me because that's not what I've got to do. Cheryl's not going to be documenting no elders to go and get that information for us to make sense that we need to work out what we're doing and where our spaces are. We're too busy trying to put one another in our places, and we don't even know what our spaces are. So when we're talking about unity, know yourself. Interdependence starts with you, so we can come together to work out what that is. But we're in a community of dependent individuals, and there are sporadic members of us who are doing things that we understand. And then to come together takes a greater understanding because we need a leader who understands what they're doing for us to follow. And I don't think we've seen that as yet. Maybe because we're not out there enough. But then when we look at the people who we're looking at to be our leaders, we're not seeing them do the right things. And I'm not going to make no names come out of my mouth because I don't get down like that. And it's not because I'm afraid, it's because it doesn't make any sense to me. And just because it doesn't make sense to me doesn't mean I should go around chatting about other people and what they're doing or what they're not doing. Let them do the work as they understand it, just like people were chatting about me and the work I'm doing 10 years later. Now I'm working with organizations to be able to rectify all of this, change the curriculum. I don't advocate changing the curriculum. I advocate getting to the people that make the curriculum and dealing with them that way. Why? It's wasted breath. And right at the minute we're struggling for breath because Corona takes away breath and lungs and all the rest of these things. And so we ain't got time. And then what? I can't get hospital because they're gonna try and keep. No, man, you must be joking. And then we have to be mindful. And they're now targeting our community, saying that we're the most affected. Yeah, the reason why we're the most affected is because you disrespect us the most and you don't give us the right treatment. And then the medication that you're giving us isn't for us. The dose that you're giving us is not for us.
Do you know how many people I see from our community? Sorry, Debbie.
Excuse me. Do you know what?
Do your thing.
It's all good.
Do your thing. It's alright. We knew what we was getting ourselves in for when we invited both of you on, so we're good.
Do you know how many people are like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. It's finally here. Oh, great, they're testing our children in schools. Hold on, do you not know that the testing that they're doing for children is also, they were wanting to give them the flu jab in secondary schools first. This came out back in July, August, before schools even went back. And then now they've sugarcoated is, oh, we're going to test the children. So do you know what's on the, for the fact that we've seen live people testing their cats, their dogs, and not even doing the test period, cutting it off and putting it back and sending it back and it comes back positive. So now they're going to test all your children. And then particularly why they start with secondary school children. Secondary school children over the age of 13, I said it already, 13, oh, you might have coronavirus. Do you know? And they're still very vulnerable. Their minds are still very young. You may have corona, you know, you could die. You don't want to take it back to your family. You don't want to take it back to your gran. Do you love your gran? Because if you love your gran, then you take the vaccine. It won't hurt. It will just be a prick. I think your parents would agree that you're doing the right. Do you understand how easy it is to manipulate a child? Because remember, we're talking about children. And then boom, you've been injected with something. Who knows what? That's been out for 2 minutes. That has not even been proven to last up to 9 months, by the way. It doesn't say that it's going to stop COVID. And now, hold on, the catalyst to this for me was You've come out with this vaccine that needs to be stored in minus 127 Celsius, whatever it's called. And if not, them lorries in France had the vaccine on it, by the way. Some of those lorries had the vaccine on it. And then even with the food items that were perishable, they had to throw it away after 24 to 48 hours. So where the vaccine there? I never hear no one talking about throwing that away. Plus, only last week, we came up with a new strain of the vaccine, but you guys have still got the same vaccine. Sorry, a new strain of the virus. They got a new strain now. So we've got the new one, 2021 virus. But you guys have still got the old vaccine. So does the old vaccine account for the new strain? Because I didn't hear no one talking about that. The only thing I hear them saying is, oh, once we vaccinate, everything will be fine. Oh, we just need to quickly vaccinate. We have now vaccinated 636,920 people. Right then, on what vaccine? Does that cover the new one? Does that cover the... You understand what I'm saying?
This is the thing. I think even with all of this confusion, like we've already had in our community so many things that has been dividing us, and now this COVID thing is dividing us even more.
Yeah.
And this is why I think as well it's important for us to like go through these kinds of principles, particularly, you know, unity. We need to I liked what you guys both were saying in terms of like doing the work within, and then kind of aligning yourself with people that match that, you know, that energy or that whatever resonates with you in that respect. But it's still at that a point where we need to be a little. I don't like sounding too preachy, but we do need to have a better sense of unity because of, regardless of our differences, religious or our views on COVID, this thing is coming and it seems to be targeting our community specifically. Yes, it's going to affect everybody globally, but it's going to have an impact on us. And I don't think we really fully understand that. Instead, we're arguing and bickering with each other and, you know, on social media platforms and having a lot to say about things that people don't know. And a lot of people having to say, do your research, which is condescending in itself and creates, again, further division.
But even when you do your research, how do you quantify
Exactly.
the information? So we're stuck in a dichotomy because we have the division of COVID, we have the division of Black Lives Matters, we have the division of our foods not coming in the way that we need it to. We have the divisions of being isolated. We're social people. We need that interaction because that's how we function. We're being... we don't make, so as much as we talk about all the raw materials being harvested from the Belgian Congo, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, forgive me, we're not pioneering Apple or Samsung or any of the devices that we're or PlayStation 5, which is out currently. Yeah, but this is where our attention is. And our children having, you know, these so we're out here with these devices, these iPhones, these Samsungs, these, I don't know what else has come across my path, but that's where we're distracted. We're using these devices to get information from other people who create the platforms to spread the media, to spread the information. Every time I talk, I feel like, I just feel like it's so, we're trapped by so many distractions that we don't know our own voice. And when we talk about unity, it worries me because I grew up in the era where you know, I'm from Jamaica. We had a lot of those songs, you know, United We Stand and Divided We Fall. We had, the world's had Bob Marley. We've had all of this. We learned about the names of the men who were pioneering in our communities, who were assassinated in the 1960s. You know, the elders who died as a result of, you know, strokes or other ailments that we don't know how they were impacted, what medications they were taking, all the rest of these things, we don't know. But a result of us not but the more we don't know, the more opinions we seem to have. And you can't take away anybody's opinion. As I said the other day, I don't argue with anybody anymore because my job is not to try and change your mind. My job is to learn from you so I can go and help others that may be like you, that actually want a change, want difference. And when we talk about unity again, it's very much about know yourself, know your surroundings, know your community, because we're at war with everyone. We're at war with ourselves and we're at war with everyone. And the work that we do is to try and uplift certain areas of our community to invoke this change that we have already seen in ourselves, why we do the work that we do, why Cheryl and I lose sleep and lose all kinds of things to do the work that we're doing to ensure that our community has something more than we felt that we had. Protecting of our children is something that we don't understand because we're all children parents. When they're sick, where do we go? We go to the doctor, we go to the adult to look after them. When they need education, where do we go? We go to the adult to educate them. When they need funding, we go to the adult. Where do we, anything, the system is the adult. We are the children in the system, creating that new turn of servants. Same as slavery, same model. But we're doing it now. So now, you know, they told us we can't beat them. But why was we beating them in the first place? Because our ancestors were beaten. It's a hereditary conditioning, and we are just starting to look at how to unearth a lot of this hereditary conditioning. So when we talk about unity, it very much is about find your spiritual family on your journey, and the honesty that we haven't been prepared to give to ourselves. It hurts because it's a lot. And to be truthful is something that we're not used to, because we manipulate all kinds of situations to try and get ourselves into somewhere or out of something, not realizing that's a detriment to us and all those involved. We don't need everybody on the way. We just need to make a way.
Do you know what? Yeah, like I'm the only kind of guy here at the moment. Yeah, and I'm surrounded by like 3 powerful women, like literally in this community. And the thing that kind of resonates, or that you mentioned, that kind of all 3 of you say, is a matter of we're not trying to change people's minds. Like, people need to make a decision as to what resonates with them and roll with it. And they can't be picking up fights over certain topics or what have you. It either resonates with you or it doesn't. And I would implore you, all listeners, to go and follow these 2 women. And if it resonates with you and you can find some way of supporting them, then do so. And that's in line with our theme today, which is unity. Unity isn't about how can I say it? We're from the same family and that's it. It's about, as you mentioned, finding your spiritual family, or finding that connection with people where it's like, I see you, I recognize your works. How can I support? How can I aid? And not try and derail or look for ways as to how you can benefit from it, but how
you can get involved.
How you can get involved, or how you can make that movement stronger and propel forward so it can help more people. So I just wanted to add that still.
Quickly, before we move on, we've got like a little bit of time left. I just wanted to mention that we have a giveaway over the next 7 days, today included. We have 3 prizes, and anyone who wants to know more details, they can follow us on Instagram at Black British Parent. All you need to do is follow our IG account, like the post with the giveaway image on it, and tag 3 friends in the post in the comment section, and then take a screenshot of watching. I know it sounds like a lot, but this has to happen. And take a screenshot of you watching one of our 7 live streams on YouTube and Facebook, and send that in to us via our DMs on Instagram. And the prizes that we have, they all have a t-shirt, a Black British Parent t-shirt, one of these. And you also get first prize is 2 free online children's cooking lessons for age 8+. And we also have a second prize, which is a black doll, beautiful black doll from Afro Toys. And the third prize is a book, You Can Heal Your Life book, by Louise Hay. I know it's not a black author, but it's a really amazing book. And everybody I've suggested that to they just can't put it down and keep it around them all the time. So just to let you know, go and check out Black British Parent on Instagram to check out our giveaway.
Can I add something which is slightly off topic but not? It's actually really important. There was obviously some of you know that I'm doing the UK Africa Consortium with regards to investing in buying land and building our own foundation as communities on the continent. And one of the things that I've come across, or one of the people I've come across, is a lawyer. I need a lawyer to be able to do my paperwork that represents, obviously I live here still, and what's going on out there to make sure that I don't, make sure it's done properly, because you know how our past is. We don't trust this or we don't trust that when I'm giving this one my money, blah, blah, blah. So I want to make sure it's done properly, not just for myself, but for everybody that's taking part. One of the things that came up, which I've just done, is trust law. Now, within our community, not a lot of us, I know when we did the Bridge Park campaign, that was based around trust law, so I learned a lot on the job. However, not to say that I did all that work, but I learned it as being part of the team. And trust law is something now I've just done my living will and leaving our assets, because we're doing all this work out here and we think that a will is enough, but you can leave your will and leave the house and leave the car and leave all the properties and leave all the assets to your children, and then they could develop a drug habit tomorrow, or they could just decide that they're selling it all. And then, like we've seen previously with other Caribbean parentage, when it gets past time, you leave the house to blah blah. They've moved back to the Caribbean and blah blah, sold the house and bought a brand new car, and then lost his job, and then now is living in a hostel. Whereas in the trust law, that's just like the worst experience. Whereas in the trust law, though, you have a living will once you're of sound mind, and you also make sure that your assets, whether you own your property or not, is left in trust for your children and your grandchildren. Now, here's the thing about this as well. Trust law used to be, or putting your items and assets in trust used to be indefinite. Because this establishment, and most of these people in this establishment, the wealthy that make money off of our backs for all our hard work, they've all got trust. What they've realized is that a large part of, the Asian in particular community are now putting a lot of their assets in trust. They've changed the law to only 125 years, rather than it being indefinite. So I'm saying to our community now, we're talking, we're all out here doing this work, and the way how I feel about the Black Child Agenda, if anyone tries it, someone's getting kicked out. And I'm not like, listen, don't play. And even my sons know, it's like, yeah, what now? But if it's in trust, they're stuck with it, whether they want to do it or not. They are stuck with the Black Child Agenda, where they have to find somebody to manage and run this thing, or with UK Africa Consortium, or with any other business that I decide to pick up, which I'm trying not to, over my years, is all held in trust, and they don't even necessarily get access to it. You could say that you don't want them to get access to it until they're a neuroscientist and they give birth to 6 girl people. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can do that and write it. Like I said, once you're of sound mind, but right now I'm not sounding like I'm of sound mind. But there's something which, for those of people like yourself, I'm going to introduce you to the lawyer that I'm dealing with, so that you guys can put it on your platform. I'm going to be putting it on my platform, because we need to get educated. And like we've said all throughout this whole discussion, those that want to take it up and do something with it, go on and make sure that you hold your assets and yourselves accountable. And remember, this is not just for here, where we're UK based. This is anywhere. I'm doing Ghana, Nigeria, all of these places, so it actually follows you everywhere. So, and it's legal, it's a legally binding document. So these are the things that we need to be looking at, because we keep talking about generational wealth, etc., etc. Right now, the Black Child Agenda, Black British Parent, and Black Poppy Rose, you hear all the black, blackity black. Right now, we may be worth, 100,000. But in 20, 30 years from now, similarly, when you look at your Malcolms, your Marcuses, your Nzingas, if they had the things or whatever they were doing in trust, could you imagine? Like when you look at Mansa Musa's wealth now. So we need to be looking at the generational wealth that we can potentially pass down and make sure it's held legally, and it has to be recognized, whether we like these people or we don't. It is recognized in law, and not only UK but international law, wherever we decide to land. So that's something that I'm definitely going to push out to you guys and to the rest of the listening audience, that keep an eye on Black British Parent for this information, because it's really, really important, and other mediums and platforms, because it's like mind-blowing stuff, and you're like, really? So good, so good.
Yeah, definitely. Generational wealth is a very a topic that's been running on my mind a lot of late, and making sure we don't make the same mistakes that have happened in previous generations, especially as it pertains to handing down that wealth to the next generation. And Yeah, even within our household, it's something that runs on my mind often. So
And how do you secure it? It's just making, because we know, oh, the kids will have it afterwards when we decide to descend and transcend, or I should say transcend, but how is that held tight where no one can't trouble it?
yeah, of
And
course.
when I came across this, it's like, this is what I've been looking for,
Yeah.
but I didn't know what I was looking for until it actually arrived. So it's like, definitely, with all the hard work that all of us are putting in, and anybody else that's out there serving our community, it's like we need to protect these things and protect that memory, the legacy, everything. So yeah, that's something that we need to definitely
Just to give our listeners some kind of context on that as well, is that there's a lot of black landowners in America. Just using America as an example because they're our cousins and just for reference. Like, and then what's happened is they hand it down to their children, and their children have children, and then say like a distant cousin, like 20 years down the line, can get approached by someone that recognizes that they own a portion of that land, gets approached by them to sell that land to them, and then the whole land has to go up for auction or for sale because someone within that family has decided that they want to sell it on now. And we need to protect ourselves from those situations, those scenarios, and to protect, because generational wealth, that's the reason why, to a certain degree, because that's the reason why we don't have enough power or enough say or enough sway when it comes to legalities, politics, or anything, because we haven't secured for ourselves, or we've allowed other people to kind of infiltrate and break up our assets. So I'm down for that conversation or that information when it does come to us.
Definitely. We're coming to the end of the hour now, which is like, wow, time goes by so quickly. I just wanted to ask yourselves, Selena, could you leave us with a message for Black British parents? Anything you want to share or think we should know? And yourself, obviously, the same question will come to you at some point, Cheryl. No message.
I don't understand the question, to be fair.
Okay, I was asking, do you have a message for Black British parents or other parents that watch our platform?
I don't understand the question.
So you don't have a message?
You do. Something to leave for the people there.
Yeah.
Cheryl, on Black British parents. Yeah.
You guys are scratching your head, looking around, like just.
Well, no, because today's Emoji Day, so
Yeah.
it's to try and end it with a
Okay.
theme. So start as we mean to go on, because like we could rant all day about all kinds of things, but it's about bringing it home. it's about bringing it home. So unity is about maintaining yourself and your community and the people that you classify as your parent, as your family, as your the people that you would die for. So when you look at that, pay attention to who you think you would die for, and what levels best that you're putting into yourself to ensure that they can also do that. So you build up your infrastructure. We're not all supposed to be learning the same things. We're not all supposed to be doing the same things. But what I would implore is that you take time with yourself, especially in the environment that we're in. Life has never been any more uncertain than it is now with this pandemic. But what history has shown me is that we get through these things. But when we're getting through them, who are we on the other side? Know who you want to be on the other side of this uncertainty and keep pushing for that, because the gates will open. Anything you're looking for will come to you if you call for it. You call for negative things, you get them. So try calling for the positive things that you think you need for yourself and go for them. Obstacles are a part of life. When you watch wildlife, you see trees having to fight other trees to be able to gain ascendancy, to get access to the sun. Watch a lot of wildlife and understand your place in it and see which one of those species you are. Are you the one that's going to be encompassed by the larger trees, so your offspring will only grow this big? Or are you prepared to move, or are you prepared to navigate or work around to be able to get access to continue to grow higher? So what I would implore is that self-development, trust yourself, and keep growing in the way that you want to come out on the other side of all of this uncertainty.
Thank you so much, Selena. That was wonderful and beautiful. Cheryl, I take it.
wiser. What would I say in the context of Umoja? I would definitely say, oops, my glasses. I would definitely say, do you know what? Look at what's going on within your house as a start. Build and make sure that is the strongest foundation that you as a family can have. Because seeing so many of our children on the roads and things like that, there's something amiss somewhere. Something's fallen apart. Something has happened. Connect with your neighbor. And I don't mean the one directly next door. I'm talking about with your neighbors. We're all out here. All of us are out here doing something. Connect with each other, because that old adage of we're not for talk to your business to nobody isn't working for us. It's not doing us any favors. I've seen too many times people who I've seen who I think have everything together, but really when I've had the conversation, they're absolutely crumbling and struggling with love, family, and career. And just that conversation with someone, you don't know how you may change their day. So we need to start communicating more and having a better understanding of each other more. And you know, from there you can choose who you bring slightly closer to you and who you don't. And that's what I think we're missing. We don't necessarily have the social spaces. And as Selena said earlier, we are a social people. We don't have the social spaces because we lost most of them. But we do have now, everything's online. We need to communicate more, we need to plan, and we need to develop. We need to develop, because we talk about all these other communities and what they're doing. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but we need to do more within ours. Jump on and say to Black people, British parents, is there anything I can do to support your services? Is there, you know, and sometimes it's as simple as sharing something. This is all unity. You may not see it as a big deal, and in real terms it's not, but it does help, and it shows, hi, young man!
Say hey,
I'm always
Auntie.
doing it.
Hi, Auntie.
Oh, you're so cute. Why are you going to do that now? And my grandbaby's coming next week. But yes, right, you're distracting me. But yeah, I think that it's definitely about us. For us, by us, solutions. That's what we need to be working towards. It's all about us. And it's all about, with right now what's going on, let's show you the tip of the iceberg of what they can do. You ain't seen what's coming there, because if anyone watches a lot of these movies, trust me, it's coming. So we need to understand what we're doing. And if that, for me, if that means leaving, which I'm planning to do, because it's like, if I'm going to suffer, then I'd rather suffer in the sunshine, amongst my people them, rather than be here, because look, it's 12 o'clock, and look on the sky. Not a glint, and then they wonder why we're dying off, because we ain't got no vitamin D coming in. We need to get away. We need to plan an exodus, a mass exodus. And then still, the money's good here, so you know we can do both. But we need to do more together. And you know, one of the main things which we've been doing a lot of this morning on this call, laugh. Have a bloody laugh, because people are so serious and so mad with the world and life. It's just like anything we post, it's like, oh, there's a problem. Everyone's a Facebook anger warrior, and it's like, damn, it's just a joke. Calm down and just breathe. And then just have a laugh. You're allowed to do that. Yes, we're going through turmoil. Yes, we're being attacked from all kind of places. But you know what? Even whilst we're under one of the biggest attacks of our history, we still laugh, we still reproduce, we still dance, we still had a good time. And there ain't nothing stopping me from doing that, because I'm a grandma out here. And I've got to make sure my glam babies understand that grandma has a good time too. So that's really what I'm going to say. We need to stop being so serious.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. No, but honestly, you guys are just amazing, and we really appreciate the work that you do in our community, the views and perspective that you share. It's really super important.
And the energy that you
Yeah,
both
man,
bring
definitely.
as well.
You guys are definitely inspirational. Like,
Thank you.
thank you so much for joining us. Did I cut you in?
No. Do you know what? Yeah, I'm good. Like I've enjoyed my morning. Like,
What the viewers watch you guys. Yeah, honestly, this definitely was a Cheryl and Selena show, so we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're
all
very
right then.
welcome.
So yeah, follow Cheryl Phoenix on
Black Child Agenda.
Black Child Agenda. Her website's up right now. Follow Black Poppy Rose. Her website details up now. Also follow us on sign up to our mailing list. Go to our website, and you don't know where we are in a way. So go to our website, sign up to our mailing list so that we can keep you updated with what's going on in the community and our next chats. And hopefully we'll be seeing you guys tomorrow at 11.
Take care. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye
Thank
bye.
you, guys. Enjoy.
See ya.